and today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite holiday traditions, which is Christmas morning cinnamon rolls. But today we're going to do a twist on them, and I'm going to do gingerbread cinnamon rolls. They just smell so yummy. They're the perfect thing to wake up to on holiday morning, and I'm going to give you a couple tips for how to make these overnight, and you can just pop them in the oven and they're ready to go. So to get started with your gingerbread cinnamon rolls, we're going to make the dough first. So what I have here is 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. You want to use all-purpose, just the regular kind. If you use like a heavier flour, like say King Arthur's, just be sure that you weigh it so you don't use too much. I'm going to add my other dry ingredients, which is a 1/4 cup of sugar. Pour that right in. 1/2 teaspoon of salt, so just a little pinch, and that'll be ready to go. And I am using rapid rise yeast, just because this makes it faster. 1 packet, so if you use different kinds of yeast, I'll put the exact measurement on the blog. Add this right on in. Shake it all in there, make sure you get it all out. I'm gonna set this aside for just a second. And over here we have 1 cup of whole milk and 1/2 stick of butter, so 4 tablespoons, and we're gonna melt this together. So just melt it over about like medium low, you don't wanna burn it. Melt it nice and slow. And then here, we are just going to whisk the dry ingredients together to make sure they're all just evenly mixed. Probably about 2 or 3 minutes later, we have got our melted butter and whole milk. It's looking all good in there. Doing great. So now I have got my stand mixer ready. You can definitely do this by hand if you want. It's just gonna take a little bit longer. So for this, you have the paddle attachment to start. That's what this one is. And I'm gonna turn this on low. I've already whisked my dry ingredients together just so that they're evenly mixed. I've got this going. And now I'm just going to slowly incorporate my milk. You can see this is coming together super nicely in here. I am going to carefully add my egg. And once all of these ingredients are pretty well incorporated, meaning they're all mixed together really nicely, and it's starting to kind of come off the sides of the bowl, we're going to switch to the dough hook, which is this attachment, and we are going to start really getting our dough ready to go. And now I'm going to let this go on medium speed for about 5 minutes. Again, you can knead by hand if you want, or with like a fork or something. It's just gonna take you a little bit longer. So I'll show you what the dough is supposed to look like, and once it reaches that consistency, you can let it sit. It's been about 5 minutes, so our dough is just about done kneading. How can you tell that the dough is done? It should be kind of pulling away from the sides of the bowl, so you'll see it kind of start to form a ball on its own. So over here, what we're gonna do, just a lightly floured surface, and then get all of the dough out of here. It should be kind of warm, kind of smell like yeasty. Got that fresh baked bread kind of smell going on. But you can see it kind of like comes off my fingers pretty well. If you need help scraping anything off, you can use your spatula. Now for this, you're just going to knead the dough just a few times, not much. You don't want to overwork it. We're just going to make it into a nice ball, and then we're going to let it set for 10 more minutes. That looks good to me. Just trying to get any little creases out as much as you can. Start shaping that into a nice little ball. There you go. I'm just gonna put this right back in where I found it. Maybe sprinkle a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick. I cover this with a handy kitchen towel, and I'm gonna let this sit for 10 minutes. So over here, I am just making the filling. That is 1 cup brown sugar with half a stick of butter, and we're gonna melt that all together with some warming spices like cloves and cinnamon, a teensy bit of salt, nutmeg, and a little bit of ginger, and that is how we're gonna get our gingerbread flavor, which just makes it perfect for Christmas morning. Now, what you wanna do here is do it over medium heat. You wanna be careful not to burn your butter or your sugar. And I'll show you, it starts to come together like this. It should smell so good. Like, this is what you smell when you think of cinnamon rolls. And it's just got a little bit of that ginger and cloves just to make it so, so nice for Christmas morning. If you just wanna do regular cinnamon rolls, that's just brown sugar and cinnamon. Just leave out the other spices if you don't want the gingerbread flavor. But for Christmas, I definitely recommend the gingerbread flavoring. You can set this aside until your dough is ready. Okay, we're checking back in on our dough ball. It's been sitting there for about 10 minutes. It's nice and plump. So again, we're gonna go back to our lightly floured surface. You're going to wanna have a rolling pin handy and your brown sugar cinnamon gingerbread filling ready. This is the fun part where it really starts to become cinnamon rolls. I've got my filling ready to go right over here. I've got my rolling pin and a little extra flour. This is what you are going to need. So just make sure you get this floured on all surfaces just so it doesn't stick to anything. A little bit extra on here. And I'm gonna roll this out into a big rectangular shape, and that's how we are going to make our cinnamon rolls. It doesn't have to be totally perfect. Just try to get it into a rectangular form. That's gonna get your cinnamon rolls more even. I'm gonna widen out my rectangle just a little bit. Okay, now for the fun part. This is when it really starts to become a cinnamon roll. So we've got our filling all ready to go. Give it a little stir if you need to. And then I just kind of start putting it down the middle. Just like that. And then you just want to spread it evenly all over the surface of the dough. So yep, we're just filling in all around, getting it as even as you can. Okay. Now we've got these all ready. So next I'm just gonna start rolling it. You'll be surprised how much it grows. So roll it as kind of tightly as you can. So roll it up. If any of your filling falls out, don't worry, we can add that back in. All right. Now I've got these in a nice roll. These make about anywhere from 8 really big ones to 12 more normal size ones. So it depends on how many you want to make. I like to do 12. So I cut it in half and then I cut each side into 6 pieces, and that just helps me get them more even. So just use a little bit of a seesaw motion and you'll see just how gorgeous this looks. So, so good. You can see all that yummy, yummy, yummy cinnamonness in there. So next, just cut these into as equal parts as you can. Okay, now I have a pan that I've sprayed with nonstick spray. You can use butter as well. And I'm just going to place these in here all around. And I'm going to let them rise for 20 to 30 minutes at room temperature or overnight covered in the fridge. Okay, now I'm just gonna cover these and let them rise, and then we'll be ready to bake. So they look kind of like this when they're ready. If you do them in the fridge, let them come to room temperature before you pop them in the oven. We have preheated our oven to 350 degrees, and so I'm just gonna slide these in, and they're gonna bake for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now we're going to make the homemade cream cheese frosting. It is so simple. You are always gonna wanna make your own now because it's so easy. So here we have 4 ounces of cream cheese. I let this kind of soften for a few minutes so it's at room temperature. I have a cup of powdered sugar, so we're just gonna add that together. And I have 2 tablespoons of whole milk. We wanna start with 1 tablespoon and go from there. So I'm gonna pour about half of this in. And then if I need more liquid later, you can just add it as you need it. And this is really easy. You're just gonna mix this together. You can use a fork, you can use a blender, just be a little careful that you don't over mix it. And this will just come together in a nice creamy frosting. So as you mix this together, you can see it's kind of like softening, it's all coming together. If you notice you have a lot of clumps, you can kind of just spread those on the side of the bowl with your spatula to get them out. Just like that. Oh, a few clumps are okay. It's gonna really melt when you, so nicely and smoothly when you put them all on the warm cinnamon rolls. But if you're noticing that it's kind of not coming together quite the way you wanted, that's why you have your extra milk. Just add a little bit. Just a little bit goes a long way in this, so don't add too much. Yeah, I can already tell this is mixing so well. Yep, and we're just gonna keep mixing this until it's pretty smooth, and then our frosting will be ready. You can set it aside. You can make this ahead about 3 to 4 days. So you'll just wanna take it out of the fridge a few more minutes before you are ready to use it so that it has time to soften, because it will harden when it gets cold, but you can make this ahead of time. Here are our yummy cinnamon rolls. Looking so delicious. I like to cook them for about 15 minutes. You can go up to 20 if you like a little bit crispier. You can see some of them rose a little bit more than the others, so it got a little bit more brown. I like them a little softer and doughier, so that's why I do it this way. Next up, we will put the icing on. Okay, so I let these cool for about 3 to 5 minutes, if you can stand it that long. And now we have our icing, our homemade cream cheese icing. And I am just gonna spread these all over these and just kind of let it melt in there and just get so delicious. I like to do this when they're still warm, just because I love the way it like melts and kind of coats. It's totally a preference if you want it to be more thick and wait a little bit longer. But I found that most people cannot wait that long to eat these. And this is fun if you have family around. You can get these almost ready to the point where you just put them in the oven, and then people can ice their own. If you have any little kids around, they can help ice. That's a really easy thing, fun thing for them to do on Christmas morning with your fam. Okay, I don't want to waste any of this. I'm gonna get my last little bit on there. And yeah, this icing is just soaking right in, doing its thing. Yep, there you have it. And these are your gingerbread Christmas morning cinnamon rolls. So get excited, get ready to share these. People are gonna love these. This will definitely become a part of your holiday tradition.